Good, happy Sunday morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this week and this edition of Politics with Riley King. Let's begin. Today is Sunday, October 13, 2019. Let's get started, and let's begin with your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for today. We have two candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. John Delaney will be having an event, breakfast town hall, at the Common Man Restaurant in Claremont, New Hampshire at 9 o'clock a.m., which is happening right now. Joe Seestack has two events today in New Hampshire. His first event, young adult event in Keene, New Hampshire at 4 o'clock p.m., and his second event, town meeting organized by local Democrats in Antrim Little Town Hall in Antrim, New Hampshire at 6 o'clock p.m. Republican U.S. Senate candidates weigh in on Trump's withdrawal of troops from Syria. Bullock calls Trump's move short, straight, disabling. O'Brien calls for U.S. to withdraw from the UN. Bullock describes growing up in Montana to New Hampshire voters. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Do you need a new roof but think you can't afford it? Our average customer pays $7,500 for a total roof replacement, and we have finance plans with payment options under $150 per month. Call today. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
Do we get to keep the cups of coffee? Or the coffee cups too, Adam? We don't? We don't?
You'd be hard-pressed to find much more of a regular guy governor than Steve Bullock, who grew up just a few blocks from where he now works in Montana's state capital.
One of the fun things about being in the town where you're raised, like I'll still run into Mrs. Mandeville, who was my fourth grade teacher. I'm Michael, Mrs. Mandeville. How are you? I'm very proud of you, Stevie. You know, so
Bullock is an outdoorsman with a strong connection to the Montana wilderness. One of his early jobs was operating a tour boat on the Missouri River.
So I'd get done with my day of work, and I'd just grab my boots or shoes, and I'd go hiking and fishing. And it's still such, so that probably had a greater impression on me than anything else, because that became, in some ways, my church.
Bullock has tried to pass on that love of nature to his three kids. He says he builds his schedule as governor around their sports and activities.
My kids, I hope, would still say today, because, like, before every election, say, what's my most important job? And I think they know that it's being their father.
And in terms of other life priorities, he did get to keep the mug.
This will be in my official office next to Meet the Press, Hardball. Okay, that's absolutely it.
Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bullock says he can beat Trump in states Democrat lost in 2016. Montana Governor 2020 presidential hopeful speaks at Politics and Eggs Breakfast in Manchester. Let's watch some of the video.
Nature isn't the only force that can leave its mark, especially when you have a tractor built to help make your property your own. The Kubota BX.
I so appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, and you didn't note that you could fit 14.7 New Hampshires in the state of Montana. And there's a reason why we only have 24 governors, of course, because we actually serve a full term, which would be 4 years, not this every 2 years. It was interesting. I did something last night, and somebody said, well, Congress, when they set it up, the thought was it would always grow with population. And so isn't it time that we have more members of the House? And the whole crowd in New Hampshire were just like, no, don't do that, whatever you do. But it's great to be here. I'll talk a little bit about sort of where I think things are and where this world is, and then really do look forward to answering any questions and engaging in conversation with you. Because from my perspective, in so many respects, for the state of this country and this country standing in the world and what we're going to pass on to that next generation, I think it's really important to make Donald Trump a one-term president. And it's more than... To me, it really is more than about just beating him, though. It's soundly rejecting this behavior that he's normalizing. Think about when you set this up in 1995, sort of what the norms were and what we expected both out of a president.
Okay, there you go on some of that video. If you want to watch that full video, we will have a link for you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. Montana Governor Steve Bullock told a group of New Hampshire business and political leaders Friday that he can beat Donald Trump in red and purple states that will not be respective to other Democratic presidential candidates. Tulsi Gabbard may boycott next debate to protect DNC corporate media rigging nomination process. Hawaiian Congresswoman says she'll focus on New Hampshire, other early states, and voter-to-voter retail campaigning. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Now's the best time of year to get more for your money on a new Mahindra. Enjoy 0% interest.
Now, in the race for the White House, Tulsi Gabbard says she may skip next week's big debate. Speaking one-on-one with News 9, the Hawaii Congresswoman says she believes the Democratic National Committee is inappropriately trying to narrow the field of candidates. While she's qualified for the debate next week in Ohio, she says she is seriously considering skipping it to protest what she believes is the DNC's attempt to rig the primary.
And they're doing this through arbitrary polling methods and surveys and really commercializing these debates that are clearly more about entertainment and ratings and profits than they are really about informing and educating voters.
Gabbard says she'll make a decision in the next few days. Tonight she is campaigning in the North Country.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Cheshire County Sheriff Rivera endorses Buttigieg for president. Four-term Cheshire County Sheriff L. Rivera has endorsed Mayor Pete Buttigieg for president. Fourth Democratic debate. Let's take a listen to this video.
Make it your New Year's resolution to start sleeping better. At Burlington Mattress, we're here to help you make the right choice so that you can start the new year and each day well rested. Now is the time as we're having our winter clearance sale with store-wide savings of up to 70% off.
In just 2 days, the top Democratic contenders for president will face off in Ohio. This time, the stage will be more packed than ever before. Matt Pritchard joins us live from Washington. Matt, is this really going to be the largest presidential debate in history?
It is, Leanne. Brace yourself for this. 12 candidates on one stage coming up on Tuesday night, and analysts, well, they're pointing the focus at two of them, Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. A record-breaking 12 candidates competing Tuesday.
The idea, right, was to whittle these things down, and so we could get more back and forth. Now it's going to be just like the others.
But Professor David Barker says focus will, once again, fall center stage on Joe Biden and Senator Elizabeth Warren.
He's targeted me and my family with lies and distortions and smears.
For Biden, Barker says Tuesday is an opportunity.
He has failed thus far to take the golden egg that has been laid for him.
To shut down the president's unsubstantiated corruption allegations and use Trump's attacks to prove.
I'm the most electable. I'm the one that Trump is worried about. Clearly, we see that he's afraid of me because, he's, trying to engage foreign adversaries to investigate me.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren will try and solidify her top two status, Barker says, without going after the competition.
It's part of Elizabeth Warren's brand to be feisty toward Trump and the Republicans, but not really toward her fellow Democrats.
Currently third in the polls, Senator Bernie Sanders will also be a focus, especially after his October 1st heart attack.
But I'm feeling great, and we're going to run a vigorous campaign.
But experts don't expect the oldest 2020 contender's health to make him a target on Tuesday.
You don't want to look like you're pouncing on the guy who's sick.
Whether or not we see the sparks fly, Barker warns most of debate number 4.
Now we've been there, done that.
Will look a lot like the last one.
We're going to come out of it where we came into it, which is where we've been for quite a while.
Now, we'll probably see some debate fatigue happening until around January or February. That's what Barker says, right before the Iowa caucus gets going. Leanne, back to you.
Continuing with...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Next debate is this Tuesday. Who is ready for that? Trump sounds off on impeachment investigation at rally in Louisiana. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Trump pulling no punches when he took aim at the Democrats overnight, as he also reported progress in ending the China trade war. ABC's David Wright joins us from the White House with more. David, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. The president is holding his head high, playing to the base with a growing list of grievances. At a rally in Lake Charles, Louisiana, he trumpeted a tentative trade deal with China and also lashed out at the impeachment inquiry. For the second night in a row, President Trump sought to escape the dizzying developments back home to trot out on the campaign trail, where he denounced what he called
the unholy alliance of corrupt Democrat politicians, deep state bureaucrats, and the fake news media. There they are right there.
President also had good news to share.
I just made a great China deal today,
claiming significant progress in trade talks with the Vice Premier of China.
There's nothing bigger than what we're doing with China, and we've come to a very substantial Phase 1 deal.
President Trump said the partial deal covers intellectual property, financial services, and some agricultural products. The talks may signal an easing of retaliatory tariffs on both sides, including a hike on $250 billion worth of Chinese goods that was set to take effect later this month. ABC's John Carl asked if other subjects came up in his talks with the Chinese.
Can you assure the American people that you did not bring up Joe Biden in these negotiations, that you have not brought up that with the Chinese?
I have not brought up Joe Biden. China can do whatever they want with respect to the Bidens.
As for the trade agreement, the president insisted this is just a handshake agreement for now. They still have to write the actual agreement, a process that could take weeks, maybe even months, Eva.
David Wright for us, thank you. And more changes in the Trump administration as Kevin McAleenan, the acting secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, announced on Friday that he is stepping down after 6 months on the job. McAleenan, a career law enforcement official who served in the Bush and Obama administrations, was tapped to stop the influx of undocumented immigrants entering the country through the U.S.-Mexico border. President Trump tweeting that McAleenan has decided he needs to spend more time with his family and explore the private sector.
Hi, everyone. George.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone, and goodbye.